Hey, this is John Fernay, the co-host of the Maryland Crabs, and I am here today with a Maryland Crabcake for your listening pleasure. What's a crabcake? It's not quite a full episode, it's just a little snippet. Stay tuned and check it out. And make sure you check us out on themarylandcrabs.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast, or find us on Facebook at the Maryland Crabs Podcast. And don't forget, subscribe, rate us, iTunes. Go there now. Hey, we're here at Chevys Fresh Mex for the Samaritan House Burritos for Beds, and I'm very close to getting that right as opposed to Beds for Burritos. And we're talking with Nick Morrison. How are you this morning, Nick?
I'm doing well. It's rare that I'm caught out of bed this early in the morning.
I heard you mentioning that. It was it's pretty good. Now, I understand that you are a graduate of Samaritan House.
Yes.
All right. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And tell us a little bit about your experience. And where did you come from? Where did you come from? Where are you now? And what's the future looking for you?
Sure. So I came from I was born in West Virginia. Moved to Maryland when I was 5 years old. Had a very normal childhood. I was definitely a mama's boy. My dad, he worked all day, every day. I have one brother, and my brother and I were always very close growing up. Just a normal childhood, middle class family. My brother and I would play outside every day after school. My mom would make sure that we did our homework at the start. So a very functional family. At about 12 years old, my mom kind of spiraled out of control after the passing of her mom. And she got into drug addiction, and I started seeing some things that I would have never thought I would have saw from my mom.
So you were a child of addiction then at that point at 12?
At that point, I was definitely exposed to it. I didn't even understand what was going on at that point.
Right.
But, that led into my parents got separated, and now here I am, 14 years old. Dad's still out working a lot of the time, and, mom's not around, so it's just a lot of the time it was me, my brother and I, and neighborhood friends. And then, you know how that goes. You start hanging out with the neighborhood friends, you're all curious about this whole drinking thing. Why can't we do this?
Right. Ridiculous laws.
Right.
They're not for me.
Exactly. So we indulge a little bit into sneaking a beer when my dad was out at work, and I didn't really like it. It didn't taste real good or anything like that.
No, it doesn't.
But it gave me this sense of freedom. And I didn't understand it. I didn't need to understand it. I just took advantage of that. And that led into, I talked to my mom. I could be honest with my mom. And then she had a new boyfriend. She invited me over and said that we could have a few beers. And I was like, all right, cool. Sounds good to me. And that's,
how old were you at this point?
At this point, I was right around 13 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom started allowing my brother and I to bring a couple friends come over. They'd have a small party and everything. And
so she was the cool mom.
She was definitely the cool mom. And at this point, I was feeling like I was growing that relationship with my mom again. And then when I was 16 years old, one thing leads to another. I started smoking pot with my mom.
But so she was still having parties at 15 or so, and you could smoke with her?
Yep. Right at 16 years old is when I started smoking weed. Before that, I was the good kid that said I'd never drink, I'd never smoke cigarettes, I'd never smoke pot. And now I try not to say I'll never do anything again, but I'll do my best not to, because I learned very quickly there.
Now, how old are you now, Nick?
I'm now 24 years old.
And okay, after pot, where I'm going to go out on a limb with the way everything is becoming legalized with marijuana and medical marijuana and everything else, that pot didn't lead you directly to Samaritan House.
Absolutely not. So at 17 years old, I had my first shoulder surgery, and we know how that goes. You get surgery, doctors prescribe painkillers, and then that
feel good.
They do. They do. And sometimes, in my case, what I liked about it is they allowed me to feel nothing. Not necessarily the good feeling it gave me. I just didn't feel all that stress, you know. I didn't have to stress anymore.
Took away, I guess, a physical pain and a mental pain and just whatever, yeah.
Absolutely. And, I was always just trying to fit in. That's what I was trying to do. I was like a chameleon, fit in with my surroundings anywhere I went. And then at 18 years old, now I start drinking with my mom. I start smoking pot with her. Then it led into I started doing pills with my mom. And by no means am I blaming this on my mom, because every point in time I had a decision to make. I could say no. Say no. I was taught that early in life, and I could have called my dad and said, hey, look, I feel uncomfortable. Can you come pick me up? But I did not, because I loved it. But I didn't realize that I was developing a problem at this point, but I got a call saying that she was locked up, and I was trying to get her bailed out of jail. Nobody would do it. My grandfather simply stated that, Nick, if we bail her out, she's going to end up driving that car and wrecking the car and hurting somebody. And lo and behold, now I didn't have any parts of bailing her out at this point, but she got in contact with her ex-boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend bailed her out. He dropped her off at her car on the way home from jail, she got in a car accident and passed away. So at that point, here I am, 18 years old. What I perceived to be, I had this strong relationship with my mom again, and what I didn't notice is that I had a drug problem at this point. At that point, it was easy for me to justify me doing pills, smoking weed, drinking, just partying, because it reminded me of the feeling of being with my mom. That's how I justified it. And we all know how justifications go. They can be way outplayed. And now, at 19 years old to 22 years old, I was on and off homeless in downtown Annapolis, sleeping in the snow, sleeping in the 24-hour bathroom, if I was lucky and made it before the last homeless guy. Now, with all that being said, it brought me to a lot of pain and misery, that I was in delusion of a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. I was waking up sick every day, couldn't afford a meal, couldn't do anything. Now, I did have the constants in my life. My grandmother never gave up on me. With that being said, it led up to me going to the Hope House and treatment facility there in Crownsville.
Right.
And
that's inpatient, right?
That's inpatient,
right.
Yes. And then I heard about the Samaritan House. Some alumni came in, they shared, and at this point I had the Hope House was more of a vacation for me to get out of that insanity that I've been living in.
And at that point, when you were homeless, what were you using? Were you pills, Percocets, and was that?
Oh, I'm sorry, I left that out. That's a big part. Of course, at that point, it had escalated to heroin.
Okay.
And when that first started, I witnessed. Here's the true insanity. Before I started injecting heroin, I witnessed somebody in my back seat on the way back from Annapolis to Calvert County. I witnessed somebody overdose, and of course we took care of it and brought her back. But at that point, once again, I will never inject heroin. That's what I said. A week later, after witnessing that, seeing like how much tragedy it could bring, I injected heroin. That's just the insanity of the disease. There's the saying that one is too many and 1,000's not enough, and that's the absolute truth when it comes down to it.
Wow.
So I right before, here's what brought me to my knees. I was homeless, I couldn't hold any job. So with that being said, I was out panhandling for money. I was stealing for money. I was going to lengths that I would have never imagined I would have went just to get high, to get that next fix, just to get out of that soul-crushing, stressful feeling of what they're calling a spiritual stigma. I couldn't stand it to be in my own skin, and that's what mind or mood-altering substances did for me. They got me out of my own skin. They helped me to not feel, to numb down that pain that I was stuck in delusion in. And then right before I got into the Samaritan House, I had overdosed, and the person I was with at this point refused to take me to the hospital. And then one of the friends that were with me, she said, "Look, if you don't take them, I'm calling the cops on you." So they ended up taking me in. I woke up in the hospital, no idea of what's going on, and I thought, actually, as soon as the doctor started asking questions, my first thought, it's not like, oh my goodness, thank God I'm alive. It's like, why'd you wake me up? That was it. And that was the real soul-crushing moment right there. I did not want to live anymore.
How long were you in Samaritan House, the program?
I've been in for almost 2 years now.
Okay.
And, I can't go on long enough about the Samaritan House. So when I first got into the Samaritan House, most of my family had given up on me because, rightfully so, I burned every single bridge. Maybe it was tough love, which is every bit of what I needed. But when I first got in there, they gave me that sense of family. Everybody's kind of helping each other out. If I didn't have food, if I needed a ride, somebody else would help me out. I told them, look, I'll give you gas money when I get a job, and here's what they told me. They said, no, how about this? Just when you're able to do it for somebody else, you make sure you do it. And they really taught me about unity, about service. And to kind of follow up where I'm at now, Sam House has given me a life beyond my wildest dreams.
Now, you have just graduated from the program, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you now? You're still. So you're not living there. You're not on the campus at all, or
I'm currently at the 3/4 house.
Okay.
Yes. And down there, what they do. So the way the halfway house is set up, which is the main treatment facility, is they have essentially an on-site human resources department, right. Miss Cindy, and she helps you get, say, if you don't have money for food, she'll help you get food stamps.
Right.
She'll help you get insurance and also state funding, because a big part of that is, for addicts like us that are that we're not necessarily coming into the Sam House on a winning streak. We don't have people that are willing to put up this money for us to get into some type of halfway house.
Yeah, no, this isn't a country club rehab center.
Absolutely. So she finds the funding necessary to be able to make that happen. If without the funding situation, I would have never had an opportunity at the Sam House, because I had one change of clothes. That's all I had.
Wow.
And then also, Megan Ariano was the counselor, and I would meet with her once a week. And personally, I'd stop in a lot more than once a week. I stopped in there probably once a day. And to talk, because for the first time I felt I was willing to talk about things versus stuffing them down inside like I used to. And she helped me out through a lot of stuff. And then, of course, Mike Goldfaden.
Right.
And I stop in there about 3 times a day still today. He's helped me a lot. He gives great advice, great direction, and he's willing to do anything for people that ask for help. And
is that the key, that you have to ask for it and you have to want to?
Absolutely.
You've got to be receptive.
Absolutely. And, for me, a lot of people tried pushing me into recovery, but before I was ready. And it's just simply not going to happen until somebody's ready, until they're ready to surrender and ask for help. Right. I couldn't do it on my own, that's for sure.
Wow. You're in the 3-quarter house now.
Yes, sir.
And that is, you're almost cast free, if you will.
Yeah.
Are you working now?
Yes, sir. So right now...
I'm not a sir. Sir's my dad. He lives in Florida. I'm just joking.
Understood. Right now, I do have a full-time job, and a job that I've actually held for about 18 months now. When I first came to the Samaritan House, once again, I was unemployable. Right before I went there, the longest I had a job was a month. But now... I'm able to show up for work. I'm responsible. I don't call out of work. I wasn't taught to call out of work.
Right.
So
how do you get to work?
I drive. Yeah, that's.
Do you have a car?
That's another thing. I do have a car, and everything is starting to materialize.
Right. I'm just going to do the quick math for somebody that's listening to this. You're 24 now.
I'm 24 now.
At 22, 2 short years ago, you were crashed in perhaps the bathroom at the Market House in downtown Annapolis, homeless. The proverbial didn't have a pot to piss in, just using heroin. Within those 24 months, you have gone through a program, stopped using.
Yes.
Do you drink alcohol at all?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay,
Nothing.
So 100% clean and sober. Obtained a job that you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that you're looking a hell of a lot spiffier than I am if you're on your way to your work, because you got a tie and I'm wearing like shirts and flip-flops. But, I mean, your story is incredible. Is your story unique?
Every addict has a unique story, I would say. It's not just mine in specific, but the disease is the same. All the feelings that we share are going to be the same. We may have our different plots, twists, turns in our story, but everything that we feel on the inside is the same, and the progression is always the same.
The plot seems to be the same. Would you say that it's kind of interesting that you mentioned when you had shoulder surgery. Do you feel that was your turning point?
I feel that had a big impact, and it was only a matter of time before I tried painkillers. Now, I'm not blaming it specifically on that instance, but that is when I was introduced to painkillers.
I spoke with Wes Adams, who's the state's attorney, and on this a couple months ago, and he said the same thing. He said he had I think lower back fusion or something like that, and they just gave him a cocktail of painkillers. And the only warning he left the hospital with was that it might make you constipated. And he says,
imagine that.
He says, this is the worst thing. This is what you're telling me. And I had knee surgery a couple years ago, and same thing. I had whatever kind of drug I wanted. Mm-hmm. From morphine, I had Percocet, I had the Tylenol with codeine, the everything else. And they were like, get ahead of the pain. And that was what my instruction was from the hospital. My father is an alcoholic. I've never been addicted, and I didn't know how my body was going to react. Is there, who knows? Is there a gene there that my dad passed along to me? Am I an addictive type of a person? I don't know. But I was scared, and I didn't take it. I said no. And I mean, I just muscled through the pain as much as I could and didn't follow their advice. So that's just sort of interesting that you said that it was the shoulder surgery that may have was your sort of first introduction to painkillers. Where do you want to be in 5 years, Nick?
In 5 years, I'd like to definitely be out of the restaurant industry.
Okay. That's a noble calling from probably 100 of my friends.
Definitely. So I don't think that this is very far out of reach, being how far I've come in 2 years. I'd like to get through college, to start and get through college.
Okay, I was going to ask, so you're not in... Do you have a GED?
Yes.
Okay. Or a graduate
high school diploma. I did end up graduating high school before everything got really serious. And I would like to take some business classes. And I've had ideas, dreams of starting more sober living homes, because I've seen the purpose it's played in my life. I see the way it affects everyone around me.
You know, you need to talk to his angel trainer with
Yes.
Serenity Sisters. I mean, similar thing. She, if you know her, you probably know her story. But it's and she's doing that. She's got five separate homes that she's working with right now. Anne Arundel County Community College. If you've got the car, you're living locally. Great resource that we have, and I know from when my kids went, dig deep, because there's an awful lot of scholarship money and whatnot there.
Absolutely.
That you can do that. Little known thing that you may not know, but every delegate in the state legislature has walking around money to be able to give to in-state tuition. Is pretty much for just the asking.
Wow.
It's like $500. It's not much, but I mean, would you turn down? Would you pass up a $500 bill in a parking lot?
Right.
But every little bit helps, and certainly goes a lot further in a community college there. But Nick, I think you've got an incredible story. It's a very sad beginning. It's probably a very suspenseful middle, and the end is yet to be written, I think. And I think it's just incredible. I mean, heartfelt congratulations for what you've done. And is your grandmother still supportive of you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
My grandmother is more supportive than ever at this point. And,
well, I know you said that coming into Sam House, it was like a family, and
Yeah.
I know that you're. But it says now, is your father supportive of you? Is he still?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The people that I'm closest to at this point in time consist of my brother, my grandmother, and my father.
And your brother is older than you?
He's older.
Okay.
He's 2 years older. He also has 3 years sober, and
Well
so
done.
great support network there.
Well done. And then you've got your family at Sam House that's there. Well, Sam House. Now, just out of curiosity, my own. Once you're out 3 years from now, if you're, I'm assuming that you can always go back to Sam House. Not necessarily to move back in,
Right.
But that if you need to talk,
Absolutely.
to somebody there, that you get a job in your tending bar, and all of a sudden you're feeling that door is always open for you. Right?
Absolutely. Clients from 3, 4, 5 years ago still pop in just to say hi to everyone.
That's awesome.
So,
Well, I hope in 3, 4, 5, 6 years, Nick Morrison will be popping into Samaritan House. Thank you very much for sharing your story. I appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you.
Go get a burrito. Good luck.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Absolutely.
Burritos
Thank you.
for beds, everyone.
Absolutely. And you can get more information at SamaritanHouseAnnapolis.org. Check them out. It's really worthwhile.
This has been the Maryland Crabs podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them at all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.